What's going on, everybody? I'm very excited to be here at KImball High School, home of the Knights. I'm sitting here with Coach Nick Smith. Coach Smith, go ahead and give us a little background on your coaching background. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I first started when I got here in 1998 in Dallas ISD. Came in at John B. Hood Middle School. That was the first job I had in the district, and I was coaching middle school football. I wanted to get into basketball, so I went over and volunteered at Bryan Adams High School back in 99, 2000, and then I was hired at Bryan Adams High School as an assistant coach. The head coach was Brian Luke at that time. One kid that I was able to coach over there named Dominique Kirk, who ended up going on to play at Texas A&M University, was a freshman, and Adrian Clark. Another kid that I'm real close with now, he's a big-time sports agent in the boxing world. Those kids were freshmen. I kind of followed them over from John B. Hood to Bryan Adams High School. From there, I did a year at Bryan Adams High School, and then kind of wandered in over here to KImball one day and met Royce Johnson, Snoop Johnson, and asked him for an opportunity, and he was able to get me hired over at T.W. Brown Middle School, our neighboring middle school next to our feeder school. Deidre Wiggum was the principal at that time. She hired me, and I coached the freshman team here at KImball, and won my first district championship here with the freshman team that year in 2001, 2002. KImball also went to a state championship that year. We lost that from a half-court shot at the buzzer. That was quite an experience that year, but I knew I needed to continue to learn and grow within this program. The next year, 02-03, I coached the freshman team again, won district again, and then the following year I coached the JV and won another district championship. I think in those 3 years, I lost maybe a total of 6 games, maybe 7, no more than 7 games in 3 years as a sub-varsity coach here at KImball. And then I was hired on at Pinkston High School in 2004, 2005. And it was a job that not a lot of guys applied for, but I was already in the building, but I was still coaching over at KImball, and I was given that opportunity. So I wanted to just change the culture of what had been going on over there the last 10 years and just get Pinkston back on the winning track. You know, they had been down for some years, so it was my job to turn that thing around. I was able to do that after about a couple of years. You know, we started out pretty bad the first year, came in 06, had a better year. I think 07 we won like 17 games, made the playoffs, and then it just took off from 08 to 2011. I mean, we were rolling. I took Pinkston to his first ever regional championship game in 2010. Some of the notable players were Tony Mitchell, Ollie Jackson, Devontae Green, New York, who we call Davon Hunter, Rick Ragland. Those were some of the starters on that team. I think we went 26-10 that year, but it was just an awesome year, awesome experience with those boys and everything like that. From Pinkston, I left, came back to KImball in 2012 as an assistant under Coach Johnson here at KImball. We went to a state championship. One of our main players was Keith Frazier that year. We lost state that year. 2014, came back as assistant coach. We did win the state championship, and then I took over in 2014, 2015 was my first year as head coach here at KImball High School. I coached at Pinkston High School 7 years, and this is my 7th year at KImball, so that makes a total of 14 years as my coaching career. I think I'm 278 or I think I'm 280 now. 280 and like 152 or something like that in my coaching career so far. So I think it's been pretty good. You know, over the last 7 to 8 years, I've had 20+ win seasons every year, but that's not the goal, is to get 20+ win seasons. My main goal right now, no matter how many games we win, is to get to a state championship and win the state championship here at KImball.
Oh, no doubt, Coach. Like I got the message with you, Coach. Some of those 100 losses got problems when I was an assistant over at Pinkston, man. You know, I probably do a good job for you, man. But so I apologize for putting those losses on the record.
No, you did a great job, Coach. I mean, we were all starting out, and the good thing is, Coach, I remember, when I first got my start as a head coach over there, you kind of walked in like I walked in over here with Coach Johnson. I mean, I didn't know you said you was trying to get in, and it reminded me of a young me, and somebody giving you an opportunity that you don't know for something that you're really passionate about doing, and I really believe in that. So, you know, when you walked in, you just said, give me a chance. I know Rob Wright called me, Snoop called. It didn't matter who called. I just felt you were a genuine person, and I said, he reminds me of me. You know, you didn't ask for no pay or anything right then. You just wanted to get in, and that was me. When I first got here to KImball, I didn't get paid for 3 years. I was a volunteer coach, but I was a certified volunteer coach, and I did that, and it paid off in the long run. I was able to get a head job, and that's when I started getting paid.
Well, Coach, let me ask this, man. Speaking of that, Coach, let me ask this. Tell me, how are you trying to continue and build upon this great tradition at KImball that we've been speaking about? So how are you trying to build upon that, Coach Smith?
Well, the one thing is the culture was set, and I had to maintain that. Now, that was the hardest part for me, even though I had been in the program. But when you're taking over a team that was somebody else's team, a program, it's hard to make that transition and then hearing your voice when they're used to hearing the other person's voice for so long or so many years. So that was the most difficult part. And then another thing, I mean, when you come behind greats like, you know, Paul Graham, Coach Jimmy Tubbs, Goree Johnson, Roy Snoop Johnson. I mean, you got the last 3 coaches here. They all got a chance to go to state championships or win back-to-back championships. So, you know, I gotta keep that going. And I know we talked about pressure. It is, and I put that on me. But the way I see it is that I'm built for it. You know, man, I went into Kingston High School when maybe 2 people applied for it. Nobody wanted it. And built that thing and turned that thing around and had it rolling. And you know, and not to take any credit from Coach Cotton or Coach Fennell, because they had great teams too and they had it rolling, but the time I got it, it was down. Nobody wanted to come there, but we had it back going. And shouts out to some of the coaches that came behind me, you know, Anthony McGee, Harrison Ham, you know, even Coach Griffin over there now. He kind of reminds me of me when I first got it, and you know, he's starting to get it rolling again, you know.
Well, Coach, let me ask this, Coach. What are your goals and expectations for this current season here at KImball?
A state championship. That's it every year. You know, from the time we start in the off season, after the season is over with, when we come back in late March, in April, when we start our off season program, that's where it starts at every time, preparing us for this time and where we are now. We always have a saying that I learned when I first got here. You know, usually the Coca-Cola tournament or the Dallas ISD tournament starts around there, and that's where we want to start gelling at and peaking at right there, right before we go into district. But our season, KImball basketball season, does start the district start. Just like when you walk to this gym back here, you don't see any district championships or regional runner-ups or state runner-ups or co-champions for this or that. All you see is state championship banners on the wall and on the floor. And it's like, we're not doing that, then what are we doing it for? So that's our goal every year.
So let me ask this, Coach Smith, who are some key players that you and your staff are looking or leaning on to help you guys get to that state championship?
Well, I always talk about my starters and everything, and I'll talk about them second, but some of the key players are some of those reserve guys, some of those guys that are coming off the bench, because those are the guys that can help you get over the hump when you really, really need them. DeMarcus Ralston, we call him Meat Hook. You know, he's that left-handed shooter we got. He comes off the bench, gives us a spark off the bench. You know, guys like him, Alante Jackson, big athletic kid, comes off, gives us great minutes. Scotty Gustus, Ronald Gustus, he does a great job coming off the bench. I want to say we also have guys like Alonzo Mitchell. You know, he's been good for us since he's been over here. We got a few other guys, like one main guy I would like to mention too is Jaden Jackson. He was at Carter High School last year. This is his first year at KImball. He's a junior and he's been wonderful. You know, been playing hard. It took him a while to adjust to us in our style, but he really, really has impressed me, especially over the last few weeks of how he started to compete and stuff. Now, you know, our main guys, you know, our starters, Chauncey Gibson, Jaden Blair, Aiden Blair, the Blair twins, I call them, Deontay Greer. You know, those are some of the main guys right now that our leaders on the team are looking to get us down that road. And then last but not least, Arteria Morris. You know, by him returning home, coming back here, actually catapulted us up to another level where we knew now we got a real shot at this thing.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Well, Coach, man, I know, Coach, before I ask this question, I want to tell you about, you played one of the toughest non-district schedules probably in the state. And, you win all those games, lost a few of those games, what have you. But I know just working with you, Coach, man, that like you say, your goal is to reach state. And you know that you can't win the state championship in November in the preseason because you always tell me this, you go 10-0 in the preseason, don't win enough district games, and then tough district guys play and don't make it to the playoffs. So let me ask this, I know that you played those tough games to prepare you for district. And so let me ask this, who are some teams in your district? I know you played a tough district in your district that's going to be tough that you played all those tough non-district scheduled games for to prepare you for. Who were you kind of like in mind saying, well, you know what, I'm going to go play, the I schools and some of these tough schools you play because I got to get ready for these teams in district. Who are those particular teams maybe that you were kind of thinking about when you were planning your schedule?
Well, let me just start off by saying this, just from South Oak Cliff being in our district and we being with the SOC has always been us in SOC.
Yes,
so I always got mad respect for those guys over there. They're always going to be a tough team. But to be honest, after that regional finals last year, lost to Lancaster, to me, the road state goes through Lancaster. And we got to beat them. I think they're going to be the toughest team. We felt what we knew when they were coming back, when they moved into our district, that they're going to be a tough team, the toughest team. That we were probably going to face. But like I said, anytime SOC and KImball show up, it's going to be a great game. I don't care who's better. I've coached some years. I've coached some years that, Coach Mays and them over there have had better talent than I did and won. And then there's been some years that I've had better talent and he's won, but either we splitting, it's never that one team got swept. Yeah. 2 games of district. It's like somewhere down the line, we're going to split. He may beat me the first time, I'm come back with a great game plan, get him. Or it's vice versa. It's never really any blowouts. I think I got him by like 13 one year or something like that. But, they get up for us and we get up for them. It's battle of the cliff when it comes to that. And I love those battles and talking with him and things like that. But, now that, we got to go across our 20. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody going across I-20, You go to the other side of I-20, it get a little funny over there. But Coach Doug does a good job over there, man. Farron, a good friend of mine, and I think it's going to be a good battle. And the good thing is, it does give our district another good team now versus just us in SOC. And no discredit to the other teams that are in our district because those coaches are doing a good job with what they have. And if you slip up, and what's funny, Ed, is that I got this from years ago when I was at Pinkston, but I coach harder against those teams than I do against SOC and now having Lancaster. But because I don't want them getting in those games thinking like, and they're playing around. I'll go and practice the day before and I'll try to prepare my team like we're getting ready to play a South Oak Cliff or Lancaster against a team that may not have as much talent or are kind of down this year because I want them going in. And then when we get ready to play like a SOC or a Lancaster, I'm not as animated in practice. It's like, they know who they get ready to play. They know they get ready to play. So they know they get ready to play Lancaster, so they know what's on the line. So I'm not as, but when we're going against some of those other schools, who I won't name, but some of those other schools, I'm in their buzz on them. If they don't do something right, they're coming out the game. And some people say, well, coach, we're playing. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. We're not in some of these other districts from yesteryear, like when it would be, they take 4 teams to the playoff. Well, you may have a district that has 6 teams that could go. So you got the bottom 3 teams battling for the 4th spot, and they all good because they can go to another district and be in 1st or 2nd place. So you have to prepare, you have to get ready, and like I said, just the main goal, man, is getting it.
Well, what's funny you say that, Coach Smith, that reminds me, man, when I was coaching you, I think the first time over at Pinkston, 06-09, who was in that tough district was us, Carter, KImball, Seagerville. But like you say, you had like 6 teams that year that honestly could make the playoffs. So you had 2 teams that ended up being left out. And I think, like you said, that first year, we started out together, a little rough with them.
Remember, they were taking just 3 teams.
Yeah, they were just taking 3. Then that second year, I think we ended up tied for, had to play Snoop with them to go into the playoff, and we both tied for the spot. That's when soccer season was pretty good or whatever. Right. So, like you say, you had 2 teams fighting for that, that last playoff spot. So that's just how it is in the districts. I'm like you, I'd rather play in a district like that than have a district where it's just real top heavy.
In our district, it's top heavy at this time, but at the same time, like I think us as coaches in our district, we still bounce stuff off each other, and I'm talking about Dallas ISD.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into a school knowing that, okay, we're this much better. Yeah, we may be up 30, but then I'm going to start working on some things we need to work on.
There you go.
And it may seem like we're pulling back some, which we are a little, but we're still working on things the right way.
Yeah.
And we're not out here trying to put 75, 80 points, on our district teams. I mean, we just don't do each other like that, because at the end of the day, they're kids, and we know each other. A lot of us that like from, I can just name some of the coaches at some of the other high schools. I mean, we're in meetings all the time. We all know each other. We all on group chats, things like that. We do Zoom calls.
Some of us personal
we all
friends
know
off
each
the
other.
court.
And don't nobody want to walk into a meeting and somebody said, man, you put an 80 on me, and you talking crazy to each other. Come on, man.
But you know what, man? I try to tell coaches that sometimes when you play in a lesser team, how about, like, say, you get some guys that's normally not getting no access in play, or maybe you get a group of guys that you've been, trying to get to gel together. You put them out there, help them build their chemistry or whatever. I always say, man, work on your delay game style, okay, whatever.
Work on some of those things.
Work on something.
Work on some of those things. Work on some of the kids that may not get the minutes that they would like, but you need to see
what they can do.
What they can do, and if they can help you somewhere down the line. It may just be trapping, and maybe trapping out of the zone, see how they're moving. You say, okay, I could probably use this kid.
You find a role for him.
You find something for him if possible.
Okay.
And then there's another thing is that, some of those kids have to understand one thing. The one thing I learned, especially playing in college, was that when you're recruited because you probably were the man on your team or one of the top guys on your team.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody that's coming to that school you're going to probably was told something to get them there because you was the man at your school, right?
First option,
You was the guy.
Yeah.
But then when you get to that college, there's already somebody that's the guy, and somebody else that's the guy, and somebody else that's the guy. So somebody
ain't gonna be the guy.
Ain't gonna be the guy, and you have to go into a role. You may have never been in a role in your life, but you may have to be when you first get there, and a lot of kids can't handle that, and they want to transfer. Coach messing over me, he told me this, he told me that. I mean, this is just what it is. And you were a big fish in a small pond, now you're going to a huge pond, and you're a small fish. And somebody has to go into a role on those teams. It just happens that way. And you can have one guy that might be a little down, but you can't have a bench full of guys that 4 or 5 kids that are all salty because they're not playing, because it can be toxic for the team, and then even parents. Everybody want to see their kids shine. I tell a story right now. My son last year was his first year playing flag football. He wasn't fast. He wanted to play. He got a little time here and there, and the center quit. He told the coach, I'll play center, because he just wanted to be on the field. He was the best center. He could long snap it. He could do all kind of stuff. And guess what? I went to every game, being one of those dads holding the chain. You know what I'm saying? Just supporting my son. And I hated having to see my son out to be center the whole game, but guess what? That's fine. But guess what I said? In this off season, we gonna work. And he got up every morning and put that parachute on. When I was training those kids basketball, he was running 40-yard sprints. He was learning, he was on that ladder, he did stuff. Then he came back this year, he was a quarterback. He got passing yards. He was scoring a touchdown every game. But all I did was, I didn't complain as a parent, I didn't talk about the coaches, I didn't do all that. I invested in my own kids. And if I didn't have time to do it, I would have paid somebody to do it. So some of y'all need to go put some money in y'all child thinking they did that, go put some money into them and let them continue to get better and get it off the coaches and things like that. And just invest in your kid. And then, and as long as your child is trying to do their best at what they're doing and they love doing what they're doing, then let them be them. Don't try to force things on them.
But you know what, that's a perfect example that everybody hear that story, man, on every level about your son, how, like you say, he just want to get on the field, so he's willing to play any role. to get on the field. Hey, like I said, man, I know I'm not, how some kids say, I know I'm one of the smaller kids. I'm not no lineman or whatever, no center or whatever, but he did it. Then, what I'm impressed with that he embraced and he excelled at his role. He said, I ain't going to be center, but say he became probably the best center, the team had.
And now he was up for the Heisman in his league.
There you go, coach.
You know what I'm saying? So as long as he wants to do it, we have more work. He's in there right now. We just got the practice. You saw him on the court. I don't tell him to do that stuff. He get right out there trying to run the drills at 7 years old. But I started then.
But you know what? man? That's just